Don't move. I'll be back for you.
Hi there. In case you didn't know, I'm Jameson. Welcome to the first of, hopefully, many standalone game reviews. These will act as a sort of summary of the longer form review roundup chats that Joe and I have been doing for years now. Those longer chats will still be recorded and published for those that want them, they'll just be under a different name. We were excited when Capcom announced Resident Evil 2. The original, now over 21 years old, is nearly as old as we are and has undoubtedly aged a good deal. Neither Joe nor I have ever touched the original, so these feelings on RE2 are through our modern, miserable eyes. What sets Resident Evil 2 apart from the unfortunately slim competition in the survival horror genre is its dedication to the older Resident Evil structure and design. That of elaborate, interconnected maps with doors locked by strange keys and escape room-like puzzles impeding progress. We saw Resident Evil 7 head back in this direction, away from the action-packed ridiculousness of RE5 and 6, but Resident Evil 2 feels fully committed to these design philosophies all the way through. The combination of zombie encounters, exploration, puzzles, backtracking, inventory management, hunting for upgrades, and running from horrible monstrosities is what sets Resident Evil 2 apart from other modern takes on the genre. This variety and pacing of content makes it often hard to put down since no part of it ever lasts too long. Another aspect of its dedication to the designs of the original RE2 is the way the game gets you to replay it from the other character's perspective. You start the game off as either Leon or Claire and play it through to the end once, occasionally encountering the character you aren't playing as. Then after the credits, you get to start the game again, this time playing from the other character's point of view. In our case, we played Leon and then Claire, which seems to be the way they designed it. This replaying is clever, but not exactly what we thought it would be. Often it's more of a remix than a completely new playthrough. You are exploring mostly the same environments and often chasing the same objectives, especially early on. The game does a good job, though, of slowly deviating the further in you go. Weapons are completely different, enemy placement is changed, you may have more access or less access to different areas of the maps, and most crucially, the story is filling in the missing pieces from the A route. By the end of a full A and B playthrough, there's quite a lot there and it feels very complete. This forced replaying to see all the content and story is especially clever because it gets you to engage with one of Resident Evil 2's greatest aspects, that sense of mastering the game. Knowing how to manage enemies and your inventory, knowing solutions to puzzles, knowing how to get around and where to go make the B route very enjoyable. We thought it was especially noticeable in the sewer area, where the first time through it's rather frustrating and confusing, the second time though was a confident breeze. It's a very clever and unique way to get more content out of a smaller base package without feeling like it's being repetitive. While the core design of the game is great, the thing that Resident Evil 2 possibly does best is new to this release. The small pieces of user interface design, quality of life additions, are what got us most excited. Items in your inventory that have served their purpose and are no longer useful are marked now with a red checkmark, meaning it's safe to dispose of them. Or best of all is the way the map works. The map has 3 different colors for each room. Black means you've not explored it at all, red means you've been into the room but haven't found everything in there yet, and blue means the room has been 100% cleared and can now be ignored. The map also now marks any items you brush past but don't pick up. These are very small additions, but they are monumental to the accessibility of the game. No longer do you need to memorize rooms and locations of items, nor hold on to every single little thing you find. It's brilliant, small-scale design like this that sets good games apart from the great ones. Those few small changes are so good that we are going to be heartbroken if they aren't in every single survival horror game going forward. Hell, the map system should be in a lot more games than just the survival horror ones. Now, Resident Evil 2 isn't perfect, of course. For starters, we didn't find the game to be exceptionally scary, but it is very good at stress and tension, primarily due to just how exceptional the game looks throughout. Resident Evil 7 was a far more effective and consistently scary game, VR or not. RE2's switch back to the series standard of third person doesn't allow for nearly as much claustrophobia or immersion, and a lot of the enemies you encounter in RE2 are just zombies who are very easy to deal with, especially on PC with a mouse. Survival horror on PC always feels a bit like cheating because it makes it so easy to aim and hit targets, and this lack of difficulty on PC contributes to 2 not being nearly as scary as we would have liked. The time to kill for zombies, specifically the number of bullets required to get their head to explode, feels somewhat random too. It likely is deliberately random, but the fact that you can sometimes one-shot a zombie while other times they take 15 bullets to kill just makes for confusing moments. It seems like that system is in place to constantly remind you that fighting every zombie is a bad way to play, but it caused confusion more than anything else. And the impressive limb damage model for dismembering hands, arms, and legs is fantastic, but on normal difficulty never felt necessary. This is likely much more useful on the harder difficulty. It just would have been nice to be encouraged to put that new system to use in a regular playthrough. There's also the now infamous Mr. X or Tyrant, a big trench coat, top hat wearing brute who stalks after you for large portions of the game. While most of the internet seems to have found him to be the scariest, he didn't do so much for us. From time to time, him appearing results in some fun moments where you turn and sprint into a licker and several other zombies and fun chaos ensues, but Mr. X isn't an insta-kill on you unless you're low on health, and it's easy enough to get him to take a knee with some well-placed headshots. It was also apparent at times that the game was just teleporting Mr. X around the map to stay close to you, instead of being an actually persistent enemy whose movements could be tracked. Noticing these tricks they were pulling with him behind the curtain unfortunately lessened his impact. Another PC-specific issue is the inability to slow walk. The licker enemies hear your footsteps, and there is a tutorial tip that says, if you can't hear your footsteps, they can't either. But Capcom seemingly forgot to include a slow walk option on PC if you are using a keyboard to move. You are left just sort of tapping W, resulting in the character doing a herky-jerky walk, and even then, the lickers would still often hear us. It didn't end up causing too much trouble, but it's an oversight nonetheless, and hopefully something they patch in. Unfortunately for us, we lack the love for the original release of Resident Evil 2, so the impact of this remake is somewhat lost on us. We're jealous of those who grew up with Resident Evil 2 in your hearts and who have now gotten to see it brought back so well. We'd both be more passionate about the game if we loved the original too. That being said, we still had a great time with it, and there is almost nothing about it from our modern, detached perspective that betrays the fact that this is actually a remake of a now 21-year-old game. Whether you are newcomers like us or nostalgic fans of the original, Resident Evil 2 is great, and we hope more remakes of important games are treated with this much love and care. Though it wasn't as impactful to us, it's hard not to recommend Resident Evil 2.